Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit ActiveDay.com to apply.
Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
You know who I can do without? I can do without the people in the video store.
Which ones?
All of them. They never rent quality flicks. They always pick the most intellectually devoid movie on the racks.
And now, on with the show.
Hey guys, what's going on? You are listening to This Week in Geek.net. It's summer vacation. Not really, but it is. Enjoy. Anyway, I'm Mike the Birdman, but I'm not alone as I'm joined here on Loose Cannon. This is the show where we talk about big box VHS, forgotten DVDs, stuff that's only on a streaming service in the middle of the Tibetan mountains, accessible only by VPN, 1 hour per day. But I'm joined by my good compatriots, my fellow movie cinephiles from across the United States of America. I'm joined by the great state of New Jersey, represented by
Ken from This Anime.
And, of course, future mayor of Troy, Ohio.
Not even a fucking chance, but David Denoyer of Do You Even Movie.
I don't know why. I'm just feeling, I've got the energy. I've got the vibe. I've had too much G Fuel. It's
I have burned too many bridges in this town for anybody to want to elect me at this point.
See, I would vote for you, Dave. And anybody who doesn't, I will hit with a hammer. Anyway, that's political for
Allegedly.
Today. Allegedly. So yeah, guys, it is Canada Day here, up here in the Twig Studios. It's our national holiday. It's entirely too politicized, but this is a great day to get together with friends and family to watch a couple movies, to kind of enjoy that summer vacation. And one of the things that a lot of people do, especially if you're a dork like me, is you watch a crap ton of movies during the summer. You sit on the couch, you go up to the cottage, you just watch whatever. So this was an idea that Dave and Ken both kind of came up with, if I remember this conversation correctly, about, well, what would be a fun kids double pick? And I said, well, think back to your childhoods and pick two movies that you really enjoyed for whatever reason. And I'm kind of glad we did this, because I got a chance to revisit one movie that I didn't realize was as dumb as I thought it was. I remember it being a lot better, so I'm going to apologize now when this movie comes up. And I forgot how much fun the other one is, because I don't know whether they make movies like this anymore. And I guess Ken sees everything in theater, so he might know. And Dave, you have a very deep knowledge as well. Mm-hmm. So when I was a kid, I used to have, via hacked satellite, I had access to Cinemax, I had HBO, I had random movie channels. And then when I moved out on my own, when I was 17, I had access to a Canadian channel called Scream. I had the Action Network, and I had the movie channel and all that stuff. And I remember me and my girlfriend at the time would just watch a crap ton of movies during the summer, because it would be either too hot to move, or it would be raining, or I would just be up 3 o'clock in the morning, nothing to do. And I would discover all sorts of random things. But before all that, I used to be a kid whose grandmother would drop me off at the theater. And I've told this before. We used to have a little theater in my old hometown of Owen Sound called Owen Sound Cinemas 3. Now it's a giant ass multiplex. But I remember my first double feature was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, which was fun. And its partner movie, because they only ever did this like two or three times. And I remember the theater owner coming out, and we could get like a $5 combo. I know, but it was in that weird pink elephant popcorn. I'm guessing you guys have that in the States.
can't recall. Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, and it was a fun time. So this guy came out and he introduced the two movies. So the first movie that I remember watching was it was Ninja Turtles 2, but that's not one of my picks today. I'm going to pick the second movie out of that, which was Three Ninjas, which is
Oh
such
boy.
a fucking
Oh
awesome movie.
boy.
I enjoy that probably because I'm a giant kid at heart.
My
But
babysitter showed me that film via bringing over the VHS because she brought a stack of VHSs, and that was one of them.
oh man, memories. But speaking of memories, I guess Dave, let's kind of jump to you. So when did you just start doing like double features on your own? Like, because I know you've told the story how your uncle, I think it was, used to burn you like a crap
Yeah.
ton of like discs and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. So yeah, my uncle had done that, but I would say like as far as double features on my own, obviously a large portion of that had to do with hanging out with Enrique. Like when we've been friends for over a decade now, we've done many a double features, triple features, quadruple, etc. features together. But genuinely, what started me with double features was watching them on TV. To be perfectly honest, I mean that kind of cemented the ideas of sequels. Specifically, like Jaws just celebrated its 50th anniversary, for example, and that was that was a movie that was very seminal to me. And as I got older, it was just a natural practice that TNT or TBS would have Jaws 2 followed by Jaws 3, or Jaws 1, Jaws 2 followed by Jaws the Revenge. Like it, those became like kind of like, I would almost say like the original double feature to me, because what was interesting is, sequels for me are movies that I latched onto for double features primarily, I could say. But also my dad and I is probably what started the double feature. And that was, not only would my dad and I watch Bond movies growing up a lot, there was a period we went into of us just hanging out as just, father and son, where he had shown me the roughest Western, to be honest. Like, it's a very rough movie for my age to be watching, but it's one I do cherish to this day. And that was High Plains Drifter. He had shown me High Plains Drifter because that was like one of his favorite Westerns. And if you're not familiar with the story of High Plains Drifter, Clint Eastwood plays a sheriff that is killed, comes back as a ghost, but also gets to set vengeance correctly. Not gonna lie, the first thing he does when he's back in town is commits an SA.
Oh,
Not laughing at the fact of that, more so just like, that is literally a movie that cemented in my brain for not only the first Western that I can take note of, but like the one I watched with my father. I digress. Like, my dad really didn't censor me much, neither did my mom. So, there's things that, looking back on, it was a different time, but at the same time, goddamn. Catching up to what I was saying though, he had shown me High Plains Drifter, and he had shown me something else. There was another Western with Eastwood that we had watched. And it was probably on TV, and if I had to guess, it was probably Pale Rider. And then I had told my dad, because I had started getting movie books around this time, and I had read about a movie entitled A Fistful of Dollars. That was supposed to be the original Western that Eastwood had done, and it was the first of The Man with No Name. And so I told my dad about it, and he was like, well, hey, let's go to Hollywood Video when you get out of school tomorrow. It's the weekend. We'll go to Hollywood Video. We'll get some of these Westerns. You and I will watch them. And like, that became our thing. Like we did that multiple times. And, it did change from Westerns to, I mean, that was first how I saw Next of Kin and Spaceballs. Like, TV did influence me a lot with, having these channels that showed these movies. But no, my dad and I literally getting together and watching Westerns, how I saw Fistful of Dollars, how I saw The Outlaw Josie Wales, how I saw Unforgiven, how I saw Silverado, how I saw so many. So that was probably the initial double feature for me, was getting Westerns with my father and, getting to watch, two movies back to back. Because I don't know, like, I feel like there's a period as a kid when you're growing up that you get to have that feeling of, oh shit, I can watch whatever I want. So I don't think it's anything to say that I probably did double features. Like, I did like Batman Forever and the Power Rangers movie as a kid when I was, playing my action figures on the floor. But noting double features that I had almost, I guess, 100% concocted was with Westerns with my father. So yeah, that was probably the introduction of it, to be honest.
Oh, wow. And Ken, what about you? Because I know you've been like a movie kid almost your entire life, but where does the origin story start for you?
For me, double features weren't necessarily a huge part of my life until uh, about high school when I got a job at the movie theater and get it.
Hmm.
Um, so I would just immediately uh get the just see whatever and enjoy it. And that has kind of remained the thing to this day. Like my Friday nights are mostly spent at the movie theater just enjoying a double feature.
Hmm.
Um and I mean, like, nowadays, like, I have done like movie marathons. I've spent like every New Year's Day I spend my day at the theater, and that is the key to it. It's how I open up my year every year, and it's always a fun time because yeah.
I gotta say, when you started telling us about that tradition, that's probably the genesis between you and Dave,
Mm,
why I started going to the theater as often as I did. So I'm like,
mm,
I don't care so much what I see as long as I'm seeing something. And I got this impression very
yeah.
much from you and Dave. A lot of people put a lot of work into this stuff. And this is somebody's, I'm so proud of this moment. I like to
And then
believe when you create art, it's more than just a job.
and then sometimes you find absolute gems that you will be the only one that is talking about it, and you will go, dude, see this movie, and then your buddies will see it and you go, oh shit, that was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a good feeling. That like, I think that
Yeah.
honestly too just goes into the idea of finding people that will enjoy movies. Because like you can't just
Yes.
show a double feature to anybody. I'll go a little honest on the mic here for a second and say
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of trouble, unfortunately, in my relationships of recent with having somebody that bonds over movies to the level that I do. So it's like, you kind of have to have that core element of people to be able to program a double feature, let alone to experience one.
Yeah, like I would even be
Mm.
honest with like you two as well. Like when me and my wife watch movies, she has a short attention span, and that's not her fault. So it's hard for us to watch something together. Like TV's easier, but my schedule doesn't always allow me to do time. So if we sit down and watch a movie, we both have to really care. Like our big thing we did was like last year or the year before last, we did the Pacific and Band of Brothers and then Masters of Air. But we always make time to do like say The Last of Us or something like that. We did Fallout last year and she seemed to enjoy that. So that was really fun. But for movies, it's been a little bit harder. But that does remind me of the first time I found a relationship with someone I could bond over a double feature, even a triple feature. And it goes all the way back to my first high school girlfriend. Their name was Ashley. And I remember the first DVD box set I ever got was from New Line Cinema, and it was the Brown Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street collection that had all the
With the
movies.
Nightmare Encyclopedia. Let's put
Cyclopedia.
all the special features on one fucking disc and you have to navigate it like a haunted house. Doesn't that sound fun?
See, I loved it. We spent hours playing with that.
I mean, I
But
did
it
too. I did too.
but but yeah, like that, and it was a really special time, like just bonding over Freddy, and like we're like, Ashley, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. We gotta go to bed. We're like, yeah, but Nightmare 4. We're like, all right, one more. And it would be fun. And it's interesting because she wasn't the person who introduced me. Now that I think back about this, this is a weird thing. I remember my uncle Gord. He was a very difficult man to get along with. He was this older, curmudgeon type fellow. And we frankly didn't get along well at all. I'm a young, aggressive kid. I got a lot of spunk, we'll say. But I do remember him showing me the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies over the course of like one day. And that kind of set me down the path of horror movies for the rest of my life. And I was very surprised when I was able to show Ashley these Nightmare on Elm Street movies, because that became our thing. We would marathon these movies, and it was Nightmare, and then it was Friday the 13th, then it became Halloween, then it became Phantasm, and so on and so forth. But yeah, programming a double feature is hard, and especially for kids, because how do you get their attention? And now that movie-going tastes have changed so much, and literally there's a genre of music called brain rot, I don't know how you maintain that attention. We had the Emoji Movie a couple of years ago. If that's any indication of filmmaking, I don't know.
To be fair, the Emoji Movie is an awful piece of cinema. I don't even consider it a fucking movie.
I don't know.
That's a sentiment that I think many share too. I don't think you're alone on that.
Yeah, it's wild what gets created, put in the it's amazing that people dump millions of dollars in the stuff that will just get thrown into the dollar bin at your local Dollar General at some point. It blows my mind. But when we started coming up with this idea, I tried to think of a more innocent time, a time that I would like to see when I was a kid. So the first movie I'm going to suggest for a kid's double feature that I think kind of fits a theme. When I was a kid, everybody wanted to be a fucking ninja. I mean, not Michael Dudikoff level of I want to be a ninja, but we're talking like Power Rangers. Chuck Norris, who will make an appearance later, was kind of the hot shit. Jean-Claude Van Damme had just come off of Universal Soldier. We'd had Bloodsport. We'd had several Karate Kid sequels at this point. And, you know, martial arts were hot. They were cool. Everybody could do it. Ninja Turtles was a stupidly hot property. So I can't remember what year. If someone wants to give me the year on Three Ninjas, it's like 91, maybe 92. Yeah.
I think it's 92.
So I remember going to see this and having
92.
having such a good time with this movie with Rocky, Tum Tum, and Colt. These three kids who their dad is a FBI agent, and they're trying to catch this guy named Tanaka. He's like some kind of like a drug weapon dealer. And the movie, it's so Saturday morning coded, where everybody dresses up in the ninja outfit for no visible reason, yet they're using guns. And it's just them and their grandfather, the guy who played Shen, I want to say from Big Trouble in Little China, and them learning martial arts from them, eventually them getting named. They have these like warrior Oni masks, and they fight these goons who are the most ridiculous. And eventually there's a gag where one of them shits their pants because, you know, hilarity. And everybody used laxatives as a weapon in the 90s. And I remember someone trying that on me. It didn't work out too well. I have the asshole of steel. Not so much anymore because I'm old, but still, regardless, that was like the Home Alone-ification of ninjas was Three Ninjas. And I thought it was just such a fun idea to show that's the type of movie you can't make anywhere, with like an over-the-top goofy villain, inept Power Ranger level of henchmen, and yet it had a certain charm about it. It still has a certain charm about it. There's like a romance story with like the good looking kid Rocky and the girl down the street. There's the like hot-headed kid Colt. Evidently in real life he still does martial arts. I think the kid who plays Tum Tum is like a lawyer or something now. Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of cool. And I think it's the perfect kids movie because it's non-offensive, it's fun, and it's from a different era of kids movies that existed very specifically from the late 80s to about the mid 90s. Things were still, I wouldn't say serious, but the movie talked to the child, the kid, the audience member, as if they weren't stupid. Yet the adults could say, oh, that's kind of funny. That's kind of goofy. Why does Mr. Ninja guy have a lawyer who's dressed like a ninja or something? You know, it's just goofy enough. Plus you had enough of the character actors. Like there's Professor Tanaka, I think is the guy's real name. He played Sub-Zero in The Running Man. He plays one of the goons in this. And again, big imposing dude. And again, perfect henchman for a kids movie, right? Like a kid's
yeah.
not going to get Dick Miller, right? You like awesome character actor, funny to us and shit like Chopping Mall and, you know, whatever else. But a kid of 9 or 10 is not going to get, oh, look, hey, kids, it's Dick Miller or Buck Flower. No. This guy, right? You get him. He's fucking scary. So I thought that was such a fun thing to do. And again, it made martial arts look cool, but it also taught the ideas of martial arts is only to be used for defense, never for attack. It's a wonderful tool for discipline. It can be fun. So again, it Ninja Turtled martial arts, but in a different way where it wasn't fighting the Foot Clan. It was looking after yourself and just kind of learning a different life skill that could be used. Like one of the more interesting things I always thought was really cool was Tum Tum goes to the kitchen and their grandfather taught them how to make egg bombs. And egg bombs I know you can do in like real life where they're basically like powdered grenades and they're made out of eggshells. You throw that in someone's face, they're going to get blinded because it's usually like hot peppers and all this shit. It's not going to kill anybody, but it's really going to suck for a couple of minutes. And I thought, again, that's kind of fun, kind of cool. It's clever, not unlike in Ninja Turtles 2, where Michelangelo uses sausage as nunchucks. So again, goofy, funny, kind of interesting. And yeah, there's just something about Three Ninjas that I think's kind of memorable. But I wonder, could you remake that movie today for a modern kids audience? I'm gonna say no. I think kids expect Marvel level threats. I'm not saying everything has to be fucking Thanos or, you know, Loki or some bullshit, but kids today, they don't have, I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but I don't get the innocence vibe anymore, right? Like,
I mean, I think it's easy to say that. I will say that, you know, it's really hard to. This is one of the things that's kind of tough with like movies and trying to like predict the things of now. It's kind of hard to see the good that there still is out there because we are blinded by so much negativity that it's just publicized.
Yeah, like it feels weird because it, like, to me anyway, it feels like they go from Paw Patrol and SpongeBob immediately into the MCU. There's no grace period to see it. Now, admittedly, they're going to get some great stories with like Spider-Man Homecoming and stuff like that, who I think is one of the most easily accessible Marvel heroes that a kid can really get, right? Because he's so young, but you're not like super heavy into like Thor and all that stuff. Just, I don't see a lot of kids movies that are aimed live action anyway that are geared towards, I mean, even Transformers 1, it deals with some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, no, like I would argue it's the PG-13ification of Hollywood.
Yeah, and I think too much.
Everything is like PG-13 now.
Yeah, and it's hard.
Become hard. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's become hard because like you can't do anything because like with a PG-13, I think here in Canada, PG-13s you can say fuck once, maybe even motherfucker once.
You can get away with like 2 fucks PG-13 US, but usually it's just 1. There are documented cases of them getting away with it, but yeah, I mean, it is a little different.
Yeah, like, and that's why, like I said, I picked Three Ninjas because it feels like a relic from a time period that doesn't exist anymore. Now, is that the nostalgia goggles coming out? Oh, 100%. But I also acknowledge that I feel, and maybe I'm wrong on this because you guys really are tuned into kind of cinema here, is I think if you get exposed to different stories and different vibes early enough, I think in a way it makes you more creative. And what I mean by that is, like I said, you're not jumping from Paw Patrol to fighting Thanos. One is a neighborhood threat. One is a galactic threat, right? You maybe need to fight the guy who's in the city, or maybe you need to deal with the inner turmoil. I mean, one movie that I really enjoy, and this is really going to surprise some of you right now, and I'm going to make myself look really weird. It was a movie that came out in the 90s. It was very much a girl-focused movie, but it taught me a lot about emotional storytelling and what didn't necessarily have to be stupid because I looked beyond the layers of it. And it's The Babysitter's Club, of all things.
Solid movie.
Yeah, there's just something about that movie I really, really enjoy. And I think it's just because I see relationships, people talking, characters developing. Is there a romantic interest? Yes. But there's something about that where I learned a little bit about storytelling when I was younger because it influenced my writing when I was younger. And again, I don't know what that says about my personal development, but sure. So anyway, Three Ninjas, first pick, fun, goofy, non-threatening, not Thanos. I'm going to throw to Dave. What is your first pick and why?
So I went with a theme for my double feature this go around, and that was because I wanted to capture the summer element. The two things that I love about '90s kids movies, especially, is the kid power element, and usually when the kid power becomes very real, and they have to deal with consequences. And two of my absolute favorites, starting with one, is 1994's Camp Nowhere. And I discovered Camp Nowhere from the good old days of Hollywood Video used to give out like these little like mini catalogs that had like all these movies available to rent. And I took that home because I was a movie obsessed kid, and I circled a bunch with a marker, and one of those in which was Camp Nowhere, and kept an eye out in the channel guides of when these movies would be coming on and whatnot. And I stumbled onto Camp Nowhere one day on WGN, caught it like right in the middle of the movie, and got to see it, and then got to see it in its entirety when I rented it. And basically the story of Camp Nowhere is you've got a kid named Mud who is being sent to computer camp by his parents. He doesn't really want to go. He doesn't really see a reason to. He's not really into like computer camp. So he decides that, he's going to figure out a way, along with some friends, to avoid going to camp. And they do so by deciding to have a fake camp, essentially. But they get the help of a drama teacher, Chris Lloyd, to pose as all these different camp counselors of these owners of these camps. So all these kids end up getting involved with the whole shebang of it. And you've got a great display of Christopher Lloyd, like being the funny guy that he is. You've got, the story of these kids at this camp that is, by the way, owned by Burgess Meredith in like I think one of his last film appearances.
Oh wow!
And he's straight up drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette in this '90s kids movie, which I'm sure surprises no one.
Because Burgess Meredith
no.
does what he wants.
Oh, he does what he wants, yeah. I mean, the IMDb synopsis says a group of junior high kids don't want to go to summer camps chosen by their parents. They make their own adult-free camps, hire an ex-drama teacher to help. There's a whole subplot with Christopher Lloyd having this gremlin that is that he never made the full payments on, that he's stolen, basically. And Emmett Walsh is the, like, detective guy. I can't remember. He's like a loan officer or something that is basically trying to make sure his record is 100% before he retires. So he is not giving up on Christopher Lloyd with like this $1,500 or something he owes on this car. I can't remember the exact amount. But yeah, there's this whole subplot of that going on. It's basically a movie of what happens when the kids get a camp completely to themselves. They get all the money that their parents gave them to go to camp. So they're ordering huge sub sandwiches, they're buying guitars, they're having a great time. And one of my favorite scenes of this movie, because of how freaking crazy it is as I've gotten older, so they have this big celebration bonfire where they burn all their stuff that like they had brought if they were going to normal camps. A kid tosses his cello in.
Oh God!
Fucking cello into the fire.
A little extreme.
I mean, like, some kids are like, oh, this computer manual, which I'm sure was like expensive, in '94. But yeah, no, I mean, like a fucking cello. And so like, there's a whole thing with like, Christopher Lloyd, bonds with the kid Mud, who is played by Jonathan Jackson. And, they have a little bond. There's a love interest that Christopher Lloyd has. That's this nurse they have to go see when there's a 4th of July accident with kids playing with fireworks, and obviously with the movie, you get to see the consequences because the kids get found out at the end. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's really, you see it coming a mile away. But in the same thing, like the kids realize that like having this one awesome summer is exactly what they needed to kind of like wise up, go back to school, and like kind of realize, because it was at that time where, kids had kind of had their hero died, because I think Kurt Cobain died like shortly, like 3 years later from this or whatnot, I want to say. And like that was like a big influence on the teen culture at that point. I think even a kid's wearing a Nirvana shirt in the movie. So like, it's kind of like there was that time where just like 90s kids just had like yeah, they didn't feel like they had a purpose, and so like they didn't want to listen to the adults. So what do they do when you get told they have to go to summer camp? They rebel and go to their own fucking camp. I mean, Camp Nowhere is really 90s. It is really funny. It is dated, and I mean, it's not spontaneous. It's not it's not a 5-star movie by any means, but it is just a super fun. The kids go to camp movie and shenanigans occur. Kids have to face reality, but it's just that good like teen rebellion movie, in my opinion.
Like that. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw this, but it sounds vaguely familiar.
It played
Like,
cable a lot, and I'm sure you guys got it in Canada as well. Because I mean, it played the Fox stations, the ABC stations. Like it would be that movie that you could find every now and then, like on a Sunday afternoon.
yeah, I'm kind of wondering if I might have this. I seem to recall. Give me a sec. I'm going to look. I've got a feeling I have this. I do. A couple years ago, Alex put together a giant pile of rips of movies that he owns.
Yeah.
And one of them ones I'm looking at it right now is Camp Nowhere. I may have to watch this. I'm
So it's
weirdly
written.
curious.
The writer on it, by the way, there's two of them, but one of them is Andrew Kurtzman. And just to like give you more incentive, Down Periscope writer.
My wife loves Down Periscope. That is like
And
one of her movies.
One of my personal all-time favorites, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, with Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor.
Amazing. That's an outstanding writer.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a good writer. I mean, you can tell the movie is exactly like what you expect it to be. But yeah, no, Camp Nowhere, I would program it because, my theme is just kind of going with the summer theme of this. It's a movie that I watched a lot as a kid. And to be perfectly honest, it still holds up pretty well. I mean, yeah, there's definitely dated elements to it that, kids won't probably get nowadays. But regardless, like, it's a pretty fun movie. And it's a solid, like, I think like less than 90 minutes. You're in and out.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the importance of a kid movie. You have to be less than 110 minutes, less than 100 is ideal. 90, anywhere between 90 to 95, 97 minutes is right there. That's the number you want. Holds your attention. It's long enough for mom and dad to go shopping or whoever. And it's something you can easily program as a double feature because if it holds the kid's attention, you can easily, hey, we're going to have some popcorn. We're going to watch a movie. We're going to take a break in the middle. Let's go grab a slice of pizza. Let's order in a pizza and let's watch the next one. So that's a really solid pick, Dave. I like that. Very, very, very good. All right. Ken, what do you got, buddy?
So I am going back to a time when I was a Rankin Bass kid.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the Rankin Bass specials. I loved Rankin Bass in general. And so I have pulled from my actual Blu-ray shelf Rankin Bass's The Last Unicorn.
That I saw that movie for the first time 2 years ago. Please go on.
I've never seen it. And
Holy shit.
I'm pretty sure I need to because I keep hearing about it. So yes, Ken, please go on.
I have the Blu-ray version. I want to upgrade to the 4K version because there is a 4K version of this movie, and it is, I mean, the Blu-ray is friggin' gorgeous, but the 4K is probably even more spectacular. But this is an animated feature with Mia Farrow, Jeff Bridges, Angela Lansbury, Alan Arkin plays the wizard.
The wizard guy? Yeah.
Yep. Christopher Lee's our bad guy. And Paul Frees is in it because, of course, it's a Rankin Bass movie. Of course, Paul Frees is in it. And this is the story of a unicorn that gets turned into a human, and she's just trying to find where the rest of the unicorns in the world went. And there's some very interesting stories, some very dark fantasy elements, some scary elements, to be perfectly frank. but also some very funny elements. And rewatching it for this, this movie holds up a hell of a lot. And just the animation and the quality of the remaster, even the 1080p remaster. I think they did I think this is a 2K remaster on the Blu-ray, but of course there's a 4K remaster as well that was recently done. But this is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful film. It is gorgeous to look at, and even as a kid, it's just a striking piece of animation.
One of the things I would definitely say about The Last Unicorn, I feel like this one you'd have to get a very specific kid. But that being said, this sets them up to really get into fantasy as a whole. Like, I saw this for the first time about a year or 2 years ago with my roommate Shannon. And this is one of her favorite movies. She actually used to watch this with her mother, and that's where I know the familial connection is with it. And I didn't know what to expect going in. Like, the Rankin Bass stuff with me, it either hits or it doesn't. But this one really did hit. I was surprised at how gorgeous it was, how well acted, amazing music. And again, if you are fantasy coded, if you love the idea of dragons, if you love the idea of high fantasy, this feels like a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. And I really like that. So if you could get the right kid in the right mindset, you are going to set them off into reading R.A. Salvatore. You're going to get them playing D&D. You're going to get them to want to read more stuff in this vein because it's such an interesting story. And again, with the performances, like the wizard he's not incompetent, but he's not great. And, him trying to learn how to cast his spells, he's more clever than he is a spellcaster, but when he needs to come through, he comes through. Mia Farrow, I've never been a huge fan of her acting, but in this, I really, really do like it. But no, that's a very solid pick. And like I said, if this hits with the right kid, you're going to influence them for life. That's a really solid pick, Ken. Okay, so we're back up to me, top of the order. This one, I remember this a lot better, and I will totally own this. Okay. This is where Mike embarrasses himself, but he's going to do it. He's not going back. Fuck. Okay. So, again with the karate movies. You might say I've got a theme. Yeah, you do me. So, this one is a movie about hero worship, but I also see it as about self-improvement, overcoming oneself. But also, there are some maybe not great reinforceable messages, like you can't will yourself out of asthma. So please don't take that message away from this movie, as my wife kind of pointed out. But it's a movie called Sidekicks. And this one stars teen star Jonathan Brandis from Sequest DSV. He was on every girl's wall in the 90s on Tiger Beat and Teen Beat and all that shit.
1990s Stephen King's It.
Yeah, and Stephen King's It. This kid was my arch nemesis for years because every girl I ever was into in the 90s wouldn't shut the fuck up about this kid. Unfortunately, Jonathan Brandis left us in the early 2000s. He did take his own life, which is really sad because I really think he was a good actor, but he did. I think it's been speculated. I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but I think it was speculated about that he wasn't happy with the direction his career was going. But he did have a lot of charm. I really liked him in DSV, in It. He was fucking fantastic as Bill Denborough. I thought this kid had the moxie to go places. So rest in peace, Jonathan Brandis. So anyway, now that I've kind of discussed that topic, so Sidekicks is a story about Barry. Barry is a kid who idolizes 80s action star Chuck Norris, and everybody knows the meme. Chuck Norris doesn't swim; water just wants to be around him. This kid was the meme of this. So he would sit in class and have daydreams about his teacher, He was very hot. I'm just going to say that. And he would be rescuing her from ninjas, drug dealers, assassins, and all sorts of crazy. Like he even has like a Delta Force dream.
He's
where
literally putting himself in Chuck Norris movies as the hero to Chuck. And I mean, they're a fucking firework factory, or just a factory that processes things that explodes. The jungle. I mean, he's being tortured by Nazis at one point. I mean, it's fucking
I
insane.
forgot about that. Oh yeah. That scene with the Nazis, you get to see Bull from Night Court. So Richard Mall randomly pops up as a Nazi. He's fighting in the jungle and he's firing. This may actually be, I can't screen match it because I don't have a high resolution copy of this, but Jonathan Brandis is firing. I think it's either him or Chuck Norris is firing an M60, which is Rambo's fucking machine gun, or it's an MP5, so it could be John McClane's from Die Hard. But he's just in the jungle firing all this ridiculous stuff. He's doing karate. He at one point where he's in the fireworks factory, he's dressed up as like, fuck, I don't even know how to describe it. He's long hair, ponytail.
He's the Chuck Norris hitman. It's the hitman movie.
Yeah, and I was like, this is wild, and it's just him idolizing Chuck Norris. He wants to learn martial arts. He's getting kind of bullied. His teacher
has asthma. He's down to a single parent. I mean, God, I just watched it, so it's fresh in my brain. And this movie is just, I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, like there's a lot to love about this because I think Beau Bridges is the dad, if I remember right. Yeah. And it's got an interesting behind the scenes story too, because this movie pretty much gave us Walker, Texas Ranger at like some point kind of later on, because like Aaron Norris, Chuck Norris's brother, is like, well, I'm a writer, but I guess I could help. And, you know, you look into the history of this, that's how we got, you know, Walker, Texas Ranger for 10 million years. But it's like, it's a fun movie because I don't know who kids look up to anymore. I don't know who are the heroes. And again, I use the Marvel analogy. I think one of the best heroes you can look up to right now is your Spider-Mans, your Captain Americas, you know, stuff like that. But in the 90s, we didn't have that. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger, we had Sylvester Stallone, we had Chuck Norris.
We had larger than life people.
Yeah, we had people, guys you could literally go get their autograph and hang out. I mean, I guess in nerd circles, we had Captain Picard and, you know, Luke Skywalker and Captain Kirk and all that shit. But these people, these martial artists were, these action heroes were a breed unto their own. And it was a weird but fun time to be alive. And it's weird. The reason I got into this was because of my grandmother. My grandmother was weird. She would like a lot of sports movies, which again, she was like obsessed with this shit. I don't know. It was really weird. But she really liked Chuck Norris at the same time. And as far as I know, she never saw Delta Force, but she knew all the Chuck Norris movies. She knew like Enter the Dragon and all that bullshit and fighting Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all that stuff. And I remember her renting this for me and her being really excited for me to see Chuck Norris. And the reason I programmed this is, I guess, to show a different side of the martial arts. I'm not going to say power fantasy, but when you're a kid, especially during the 90s, I felt a lot of movies would give them, hey kids, here's a cool activity. Here's skateboarding. Here's baseball. Here's hockey. There weren't too many martial arts movies that I could think of. There was Three Ninjas. There was Sidekicks. Maybe one or two others that I'm not aware of. But these were the two most high profile that I could think of at the time. And again, Chuck Norris at that time was not controversial. His views in recent years have not been great, I'll say. But there's something about this where I don't know how you'd make this movie nowadays. Now, I guess a more contemporary example of the hero worship movie where they kind of crossed it with another IP would be Space Jam. And you look at the new Space Jam that came out a couple years ago, Space Jam New Legacy or something with like LeBron James.
Yep.
They tried.
They tried. There were some moments in that movie that were kind of okay. But the thing is, I don't know who I don't know who people worship. Like, I think people can universally agree Ryan Reynolds, people like him. You either he's Ryan Reynolds or he's Deadpool. There is nothing in between. He's that or he's that. That's it. Hugh Jackman, he's either Hugh Jackman or he's Wolverine. Same with Tom Holland. You get the idea where I'm kind of going with this. I can't think of anybody who's a larger than life person that people just respect. I mean, you might be able to make an argument for maybe some of the more popular streamers, but I feel like even that's gone by the wayside. Like, I don't hear people talking about Ninja or PewDiePie or whatever.
Well,
I don't hear
it's a
that
legitimate topic that we've had
Yeah.
at the Cigar Lounge a couple times, simply because, like, you know, think about like old Hollywood, like Humphrey Bogart, like Betty Davis, like Hollywood back in the day was a who's who and all that stuff, and like there's those icons that we have the centennials for now and all that stuff. Do you really think that like in 50 years we're gonna be like, oh man, it's the freaking 60th version or 60th anniversary of 21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum and Jonah? Like, I don't know where we're gonna go with these stars. So it's a really good question. Because like I've also, I've got a roommate that watches honestly way more YouTube than movies. So I mean, yeah, it is really a good question of who's going to survive the pop culture at this point.
Yeah, like I don't know, because like it seemed like when you mentioned Channing Tatum, that's a guy I thought was going to go to the fucking moon, because I loved him in 21 Jump Street. And Jonah Hill, and then he hasn't had a great little while, let's be real. Like those, I mean, if it wasn't for Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't know what the last hit Channing Tatum has, because I know the last Magic Mike movie certainly didn't do him any fucking favors. I don't know who survives this new era of Hollywood. I think Ryan Reynolds has a very good chance. Tom Cruise is certainly on his way out. Like now with the latest Mission Impossible movie, just kind of, I'm sure it was super successful, but that Ethan Hunt character is now whatever. So, but anyway, yeah, like, it's an interesting conversation to have. Like, who survives the pop culture wars? We don't have those recognizable icons, even when people do things on YouTube. Because I watch a lot of YouTube too. I watch more YouTube than movies too, mostly because I do the activism, politics, and I like to know what's going on in the world. But I also watch a lot of documentaries. So I don't know, when people say, "Oh, the most popular streamer in the world," who are you talking about? Like, I literally have no fucking clue. Like, and I can honestly say, and this is going to out me as old man fucking Ashkui here, I could not, if I passed Markiplier on the street, for example, couldn't tell you. I've watched maybe 2 minutes of one of his videos and I turned it off because I was fucking annoyed. If I passed Ninja on the street, unless he had his blue hair, I'd never fucking know. Only person I know is Pierogi from Don't Get Scammer, or sorry, Scammer Payback, and I don't know who else do I like. I guess the guys from Trilogy Media, but that is so niche. You probably don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Maybe Mark Rober, you might know who I mean. But yeah, I don't know who survives the pop culture wars. And that's almost a topic for a fucking ram right there. The pop culture SmackDown fight. Who survives?
That might be honestly a loose cannon, bud, because that's going to take some research. Because I mean, you're really going to have to look at a lot.
Yeah, because in the 2000s, I think you could argue Vin Diesel, but even as we get into Fast and the Furious X Jurassic Park at this fucking point, Vin Diesel's cachet is kind of gone too. Even The Rock, who used to be guaranteed money in Hollywood, is like, hey, could you not, Mr. Johnson, please get the hell off our set? Like, the guy's almost box office poison now.
I mean, the dude's doing a Safdie Brothers movie that apparently the man is in a completely different movie from everyone else.
Yeah, like, it's fucking wild. Like,
yeah,
this guy just doesn't. And hell, I remember when The Rock would do kids movies, and they were fun. When Vin Diesel did The Tooth Fairy and the Pacifier, I like those movies.
No,
I'll be honest.
The Rock did The Tooth Fairy.
Okay, Rock did The Tooth Fairy. Vin Diesel did Pacifier. Yeah, those I thought were
Pacifier.
Fun. Yeah, it's fun.
I've never seen Tooth Fairy, but I fucking love Pacifier.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Hell, that's almost a loose cannon right there. Action star kid movies.
Oh,
Someone,
God.
Interesting for sure.
someone put a pin in that. But yeah, like again with like sidekicks, it's just one of those things where it's a relic of a time that doesn't exist anymore. Outside of, like I said, the pacifier and the tooth fairy, that's the most modern example that I can think of. I can't think of. Okay, I thought of one modern example, and I've talked about it on the show in brief. John Cena, Key and Peele, and I can't remember who else was in it, but it was a Nickelodeon movie, came out a couple years ago, called Playing with Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
I
really
remember.
enjoyable.
I didn't see the movie, but I remember seeing it in theaters and being like, "What's that?"
Yeah, it was a really fun movie about firefighters and these kids giving them hell for whatever reason. I can't remember precisely what, but I remember it being really fun. And if I were to program a modern kids movie, I would totally put John Cena in there. You know what? He might survive the pop culture wars. More so than the fucking Rock. I will say that right now.
John Cena has committed himself to becoming a better actor.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's the same thing with Batista. Batista has
Yeah.
committed himself to being a better actor.
there is another guy. He did. Dave, help me out. He did a movie about a kid and a little girl.
My
I Spy. My Spy. Fucking great.
Yeah, My Spy. No, I did actually watch it for the first time recently.
Which recently got a sequel on that was exclusive to Amazon.
Yeah, My Spy, Paris, something. Yeah, I actually just watched My Spy for the first time recently and had a great time with it.
Yeah, so okay. I think we've got a future topic there. Anyway, I'm gonna shut the fuck up, and I'm gonna throw it to Dave.
So, to cap my double feature, along with the illustrious and exciting and 90s AF Camp Nowhere, I think nowhere better could we go than just jump one more year into 1995's Heavyweights. The Stephen Brill, Judd Apatow written film starring Ben Stiller about a bunch of kids at Camp Hope that find out that Camp Hope has been sold. And now they are going to have to deal with Tony Perkis, who is played by Ben Stiller, who is a psycho con man, weight guy, health guru that thinks he's going to whip these kids into shape. But it turns out he's just a psychopath that has been left with children. So the kids have to fight him. The counselors have to fight him. I mean, the movie itself is a great message, not just on the image of oneself, but also the power oneself can have when they set themselves up for such a journey or a power shift at that point. The kids band together. There's a bunch of kids in this movie that went on to do things that are still great to this day as well. I mean, Heavyweights is just that quintessential fat kid movie, and I hate saying it that way, but I mean, this was the one that like people put out there for body image and for kids to like make sure that they felt seen and everything. I mean, it was such a good movie that while the element is there with the weight talk and everything, it's not as a joke so much. Like, it's a joke when Perkins says it, but they also do it to themselves as well. They're also ragging on each other, but they also decide that they have to band together to defeat this guy, and that's where you get a really cool story of kids coming together, defeating the counselor. I mean, Ben Stiller has hilarious lines in this movie. Kenny, the cameraman's great. The counselors are so great. I mean, Paul Feig, who directed Bridesmaids and Spy, is literally one of the counselors in this movie. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Heavyweights is just that movie that I saw a lot when I was a kid because it played Disney Channel a pretty good amount. And I was worried that it was going to lose its luster after a bit. Revisited it about a decade ago when somebody had gotten me the Blu-ray for my birthday, and I mean, I just had a blast with the movie. It's definitely a perfect pairing with Camp Nowhere because you have two camp movies that are essentially about different things, but also the same thing. And it's what happens when kids are left to their own devices, or what happens when kids have to defeat something to be left to their own devices to realize that's actually not the best decision either. I think both movies have a lot to do with growth and overall, like, have a timelessness to them, even though they are dated as all get out with their 90s, shtick.
See, I remember seeing that movie in theaters, and obviously as what I'm pretty sure was the county fat kid, I got some looks going in, but I remember having a lot of fun with that movie. It being cleverer than what I thought it was going to be. I don't know. You're right. It was kind of a feel good movie in a weird kind of way. Like, again, it was nice seeing kids be in their element, being empowered, being clever, and kind of accepting that's, if they're going to do it, it'll be on their terms. That's what I always walked away from that movie. And it's weird because when I was growing up, they did have shit like that. Like, they did have like fat camps, nothing around me, but I do recall having that phrase thrown at me a couple times, kind of growing up, because I've always been a chunk-a-dunk, as they might say. But you know what? I'm fine with it. Fuck you. And yeah, that's a movie I know you could not make today. Or if you did,
you would have to tone some things down for sure.
Oh yeah,
there's also some I didn't even I didn't mention them, but there's also some cultural stuff at the end that's a bit questionable with their academic decathlon or whatever they call it. But again, it's a kids movie back then. That stuff unfortunately did happen. But no, I mean, yeah, there's definitely stuff that you would probably want to take a second look at, tweak a bit. You may even have to really tone down Tony Perkis because he's actually really cruel to these kids in hindsight.
Oh yeah, but I think you could do it even under the auspice of toxic body positivity. I think you really could I think Heavyweights could get remade if it was significantly retooled. Not so much that it strips the soul out of it, because obviously, like, I had the weight loss surgery. I get it, right? But I did that for like health reasons, and not dying is cool. But like, I think that's a movie, like I said, if handled under the right director and the right script, I think you could have a lot of fun with that, because like, I could see this being a really interesting coming of age movie, because not just because like in Heavyweights, both men and women are subjected to like, hey, you got to lose weight, you got to do this, because we live in a very body centric society. And it's only in the last couple of years really that body positivity has come around to saying, yo, just be you, be happy. I mean, there are arguments to be made on both sides, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that debate because I'm not certainly going to have that brought down on my fucking head. But point of the matter is I think you could do something with this. I really think it could be done. But to go back to the original, it exists as such a fun time capsule.
Absolutely.
Ben Stiller, before he really got known as what he was going to later become, this is a nice little slice of life of it, because this was pre-Happy Gilmore, right? Was this around the Ben Stiller show time?
95, yeah, this would have been around the Ben Stiller show time.
Yeah.
Actually a little after, I believe.
Yeah, so again, this is nice seeing Ben Stiller growing into his thing, and he's always been one of those guys where whenever I do see him pop up and stuff, I really like him. Like, I remember when he was in everything in the like late 90s to like mid 2000s. I still can't believe they're making a sequel to the Fockers thing. That's a franchise that needs to die in a fire, but story for a different day. Moving on. Ken, bring us home, homie.
So I like the mix. So trying to think of a way to bridge the gap between Last Unicorn and this next one is more of an out-of-the-box adventure / kind of sentimental features.
Okay.
This second one is one that I revisited over New Year's Eve, because I like to watch a bunch of stuff on New Year's Eve leading up to the end of the year. And so I popped on Secondhand Lions.
I've heard of this movie, but I don't know a thing about it.
Oh, it's a fantastic movie.
It holds up so well. It is a beautiful film. It's about Haley Joel Osment plays this young kid who gets kind of pawned off by his very flaky mother, played by Kira Sedgwick, and the two uncles, which are played by Michael Caine and Robert Duvall, who are immaculate. They're
Agreed.
so good
Agreed.
as just these curmudgeonly, we like what we like, and that's it kind of gentlemen. And then you get this idea. Then he starts kind of learning about his uncles and why they're so estranged and stories of their youth. And it goes places you don't expect, and it becomes incredibly emotionally charged. And you just feel for these characters, and it ends on such a beautiful note, and I can't help but say this holds up 100% and is a great double feature.
Why is it every time Ken talks, I feel like I've underprepared everything? Like I'm like amazing.
I'm a man that lives off of emotion.
Yeah. See,
So
I'm starting to get that,
just-
but I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
Ken. Jesus Christ, way to knock it out of the park. Ken, emotion, feeling, cinema, Mike,
Yes.
Chuck Norris. Okay. You just beat me with an emotional baseball bat and left me dead in the parking lot. But yeah, like that's interesting too. Like again, when you show stuff like that to someone at the right age, it leaves an impression. It leaves a mark.
Yes.
And emotional maturity is something that I know I myself gained awareness of very young, probably as a survival mechanism, but hopefully in a healthy, loving environment. It's something that can help foster empathy. It can help foster emotional growth in all the right ways. And again, being exposed to the right types of stories at the right time during emotional development, I think is only a benefit now to
Absolutely.
kids. Yeah, like kids today. Like for me, my emotional development was, and I'm not even kidding, RoboCop, Aliens, Transformers, basically big action stuff. But I learned very much that hero complex, hearing Ken's stuff about the hero's journey and kind of like learning things about yourself and just all these other different emotions that are more complex than save the girl, save the day. That's important. And I think that only hopefully will make healthier individuals kind of going forward. And then again, Dave, with yours, I see a theme of empowerment. I see a theme of being clever, stuff like that. And I really think between all of our picks here, we have a very unique theme. Like with myself, it's not just nostalgia speaking, but it's also a sense of self-empowerment and kind of taking ownership of oneself, maybe a little less with sidekicks. I mean, Richard Mall Nazi fighting aside, there is some fun.
Sidekicks is a very underplayed movie, honestly, for what it actually is about, man. I mean, it has a lot. I mean, people forget the number one thing with sidekicks is, everybody was like, oh, Karate Kid ripoff. They don't fight each other at the end.
No. Nope, not at all. Yeah, it's kind of fun how, Joe Piscopo fights Chuck Norris, which is a phrase I never thought I would utter. I completely forgot about that part when I picked this movie, by the way. But I do remember watching Barry's journey to like, I want to do this. I'm going to train. I'm going to work hard because I want to. I'm not doing this because I want to kick anybody's ass. I mean, yeah, it's nice to be able to defend oneself, but no, I'm doing this for me. And I like that. And that's something I think all of our kids' movies have a unique theme. There's something about self-growth in there. And I think that's important. And like I said, hopefully kids today will learn more other than Riz and skibbity toilets and all sorts of other things, which I know. Okay, fun thing. Sometimes I will bug Dave with brain rot at 2:00 in the morning. I love sending you just random texts like, hey, Dave, I've got some skibbity Riz on this phantom tax. You're like, Mike, fuck off, go to bed. Yeah, I love you. But yeah, it's like, it's fun to think about this, to program, to revisit. So on this Canada today, maybe take a look at some of our suggestions over the course of the summer. Revisit some nostalgia, have some laughs, order a pizza, have a beer, do whatever, grab a slushie, I don't care. Have a good time, watch some of these flicks. We are going to have lots of programming over the summer. We are still planning our journey across Middle-earth. It may be a little slower. Let's just say, Son of a Took is taking a little while to get started, but don't worry, we are starting rather soon. We've got lots of loose cannons recorded. We got some Rams that are going to be coming up this summer. I know me and Alex and Aaron do have some programming coming up for Future Imperfect. I'm going to be working with Hen and James Rolfe on our Halloween project at some point this summer. Just got to get that scheduled. We may not even get it started until September at this point, but that's fine. We just got a lot of good stuff. I know we'll be processing reviews during this time. If you follow my Patreon, I'm doing a lot of stuff with Star Trek Adventures. I'm actually getting some writing down, and you'll see some cool stuff from that. And Dave, what do you got coming up on Do You Even Movie? I think you've got a theme month, do you not?
Yes, we do. Life's a Beach Month is in full swing right now. We have, if at this point, what I'm thinking you're dropping this, we have covered Jaws the Revenge to kick it off. And, for the next one after Jaws the Revenge, even if this is a spoiler, we're going to be covering a movie called Malibu High. There's going to be a lot of good gems in this month that we're going to be going over. And also, if you have not listened to Do You Even Movie yet, we currently are on episode 82 or 83, I want to say. And we have already been started planning something big for our 100th episode that a lot of people have been asking us about. So if you want to get in the know of the show, not only can you check out our Freddy's Nightmares podcast, but also check out Do You Even Movie, where you can get your wherever you get your podcast at, and follow along with my buddy Enrique and I as we dive in through mostly what appears to be a lot of 90s movies lately since the start of the show.
Fantastic. Yeah, I always love listening to stuff. Sometimes I will send in some listener feedback to those guys. Speaking of that, you can also do that here. Feedback at thisweekingeek.net. We hope you're enjoying these shows. It's always fun to put these loose cannons together and rams that sometimes we record whenever the mood strikes us. And so we'll have more Disney movies this summer, more random stuff. So anyway, guys, go out there and enjoy this national holiday, however you choose to spend it. The Americans will have the 4th of July coming up later on this week. I will have an interview next week. I do believe maybe even 2. One had to be rescheduled as of this recording, but it should be happening. So guys, until next time, from the great state of New Jersey, we have been
Ken from This Anime.
From Ohio,
David Denoyer of Do You Even Movie.
And from the back of the Twig video store, I've been Mike the Birdman saying, be kind, rewind. We'll catch you guys again real soon, right here on thisweekingeek.net.
Are either one of these any good? Sir,
What?
are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick, change the channel!
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.